People of Earth, we come in peace.
Welcome to this neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of Central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
Well, good afternoon. It's 3:07 on a Friday. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy, and we've got a great show lined up for you today. The second hour, we've got a guest from Young Lives. We'll explain what that is in just a minute. Today, our special guest is Pastor Michael Damastis of, I almost said that right. We're just notorious for not saying your name or your church right here at the show. Pastor Michael Damastis of Fort Des Moines Church of Christ, right there on Army Post Road.
Yep.
Infamous for church signs, I would say. Is that fair to say? We also have we also have Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat. He's watching the chat and your texts, which you can always text the show for any reason, anything you want to say at 515-809-0993. Frank is here as well.
Do you think, what would be the chances of giving Mac a call and giving him a pop quiz on the name of Mike's church and his last name?
We could do that. That would be fun. Mac, if you're listening, we have a challenge for you. Call in and identify our guest. That would be the game. That would be the game that we'll play today. Jeb is producing today. Thank you, Jeb. And today is the day after the death of Prince. Why do I mention that? Because Frank's wearing purple, and our production manager, Ron, they're both wearing purple shirts, which I just think is interesting because sort of purple is Prince's color.
I noticed it right away.
You did. I did too, Bob. You noticed it. You're observant like that.
Yeah, that's why, I work for the DCI, so I'm supposed to notice
the day
things.
After the death of the formerly known
Prince.
The artist formerly known as Prince, when he was that symbol thing.
Right.
Which I can't remember why he changed his name. I know it had something to do with contracts. It was a business thing. Right? Like he was contractually obligated, or there was something he was trying to get out of. So he actually changed his name to that symbol or something.
Watching some little bit of stuff on TV last night, so I'm not an expert on the guy, but he thought he was a slave to the record producer.
There was that,
and he wrote that slave thing on his cheek.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I think maybe that name had something to do with that story.
Well, later today, we are going to talk about, speaking of stories that we're going to talk about, we are going to revisit something that I don't think anybody's talking about. Probably because nobody cares about it as much as I do, what happened. Kim Davis, if I say that name, you may know who I'm talking about. If you don't, she's the Kentucky clerk who was jailed for simply refusing to sign a marriage license. And there was some resolve that came from that. Matt Staver of the Liberty Council, he had some good things to say about how this issue got resolved. And I haven't heard people talk about it. So I want to bring that up. We're going to do that a little bit later and talk about what I think about the result of that. We also got a poll question going on today. The poll question is this: are you going to go to church this weekend? I was going to say on Sunday, but
Saturday.
For our good friend Frank, I won't just pick one day. But are you going to go to church this weekend? And if so, why? Why do you like going to church? What is it about your church that you like? Why do you go there? The preaching. Pastor Michael, that's good that you like the preaching.
I love it.
At least one person should, I think. So why are you going to church this weekend? I want to hear from you. 515-244-0077. It's a Friday. Look, we're going to have fun. I'd love for you to just call up and tell us why your church is absolutely fantastic. Be great. Feel free to do that. 515-244-0077. You can, of course, send us a text. Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. Are you going to church this weekend. And the reason why I asked that is, did you guys see this on my Facebook wall? This picture, I found this picture of a family going to church, and I was just trying to create a graphic, really. But I saw it and I kind of thought, oh, that's really interesting. So for those who are listening on the radio, you can't see this picture, and in the webcast, people can't see it either. There is kind of a classic looking picture. You got a husband and a wife. They're dragging behind them, not fully, but there's a kid lagging behind. She's looking off away from the church. She's being pulled. There's a kid up in front. Their middle son, it looks like, is sort of marching forward to the church. And then their daughter is sort of casually walking. And I saw these characters and I just thought, I wonder which... At some point in my life, I felt like all of those people. I felt like the kid being dragged to church. I felt like the young kid march. I'm going to go to church. This is going to be awesome. And then I've been the dad who's, I'm the dad dragging the kids.
Are they all carrying Bibles?
None of them are.
Oh.
None of them are in this picture.
But they're all dressed up.
Oh. They are dressed very fancy. They are dressed very nice. They're going to very typical looking, traditional looking church. Anyway, that's that.
With no Bibles. They're going to the Methodist church then?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm just kidding.
Actually.
That was a joke.
Probably. Do you go to a Methodist church? You can tell Pastor Michael Damastis what you think of him. No, I'm kidding. We had I missed the first hour of yesterday's broadcast, and apparently Ryan Jorgensen, the pastor of Harvest Bible Chapel, he was in, and the question was asked as Prince passed away yesterday, sort of where is he in the eternal realm? And Ryan went ahead on and gave a very emphatic answer, and our listeners were awesome. As far as I'm concerned, they just lit up the phones and had an opinion. That was awesome. It was great. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and raise my hands and say, you know what? On Prince, I really don't know. So I'm happy with that.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, as I've said to other people, with a guy like Christopher Hitchens got what he wanted. So,
But you still don't even know with him.
I'm far more confident with Christopher Hitchens. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, what do you think about that, Pastor?
I think that the eternal destination of any individual is not in our realm to make the assessment with any degree of certainty.
Yeah. That's well said.
I think that we can surmise. I think that we can make an educated guess based upon the fruit of their life.
Right.
But I do not believe that we have the ability to say with any degree of certainty, yep, for sure, they're there, wherever there is.
I think the fantastic or the fascinating thing about Prince was that he has always been exposed to the gospel in some form. I mean, he grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist church. He ended his life his life came to an end while he was a Jehovah's Witness, practicing, very, very faithful practicing Jehovah's Witness, which I think a lot of people find surprising. I think it was a Twin Cities area news publication that printed actually a story about a Jewish couple who got a knock on their door one afternoon, and they opened the door, and there was a young man holding a Watchtower pamphlet, and it happened to be Prince. And they were Prince fans, and they were like,
I believe.
Yeah, sign my CD.
That's right. Exactly. And he very graciously came in and chatted with him and stuff. But I mean, that's just, so he was totally committed to it, and there's been a lot of stuff that's come out sort of, I think, about that. But anyway, so I think that's interesting. I don't want to dwell on that because, like you said, Pastor, it's not my place to judge. But Frank wants to say something.
And then one other kind of famous person died yesterday also. China. The
whole country of China died.
No.
China, the professional wrestler at 45 years old.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a double whammy yesterday.
Do you know much about her, Frank? Do you watch professional wrestling?
Yeah, I do. I know she kind of got blacklisted from the WWE because her and Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon's daughter, was both interested in the same guy. And Stephanie McMahon got the guy, and China didn't. And I think there was a big stink and controversy over it, so thus she got booted out of the WWE.
I don't know how Frank knows all this
flags
stuff.
were flying at half staff across trailer parks all over America yesterday.
Yes, mourning the
And
loss.
of course, Vince McMahon, being the kind of guy he is, had licensing rights to her name, China. So when she went on to try to do some other professional stuff, she had to call herself China Doll.
I see. Well, maybe it was a conspiracy. I don't even know. I don't know.
And you don't really want to.
I'm going to move on past that. Speaking of death, You can't transition off that. There's no way to go to the next thing.
As my
in a
friend
way
once
that's-
said, one of the facts I'm least likely to remember in the next 1,000 years, right?
Right, exactly. Well, so I know Mac teased this story, but I don't think we ever talked about it. And I'm new to Iowa, so I don't know this story. How many of you guys in the room right now know who JoJo White is? The
Basketball player, right?
Basketball
No,
player.
we're not talking about the basketball player.
We're
We're
not-
talking about the kid in the Drake Diner
Yes.
murders.
Oh.
The Drake Diner murders.
I
So
was there.
You
after,
were-
after
Oh,
the fact.
I was like, you were in the diner when it
No, after the fact, because I did a lot of work, stress management.
So tell me and tell us. I have a little bit of a report here. He's back in the news here, but tell me and all of us, Bob, what did this guy do at the Drake Diner? For those of you who don't know where the Drake Diner is, kind of near Drake University. That was really helpful, Chris. Thank you for describing that. Anyway,
Good milkshakes.
yeah, good milkshakes.
Yeah.
They have this thing, this open face sandwich that they put this cheese on that's really good. I can't remember what they call it. It's totally not healthy.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
It has nothing to do with what happened back.
No. So what happened? What
In
did
the early
JoJo
90s.
What did JoJo White do in the early 90s at Drake Diner?
Well, first of all, he stole a handgun from a resident of Iowa, and then he went in and proceeded to rob that particular restaurant. But the restaurant was full of people. It was fully functioning. Everything, everybody was there enjoying themselves, and there was a young woman that was I don't know if she was a manager or not, but she was there at the front.
Yeah.
And he just walked up and drew the weapon and shot her dead. Screaming took place, and then another associate manager, I'm not sure his position, come running out to see what was going on. And as he was running out, he was shot dead too.
Wow.
Yeah, and then JoJo ran out, and they eventually got him.
Well, he's currently in jail,
Life?
but he may not be staying that way. Let's talk about that when we get back. This is The Truth on 99.3 FM.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Good afternoon. It's 3:21 in the afternoon on a Friday. Do you recognize this music?
From a Western.
Yes, it's a Western.
Probably from the 60s.
I don't know. But yes, sure. We'll go with that.
I told him it sounded like High Chaparral or the one that Victoria...
Some Wonderful Seven.
Yes, that is the theme to the Magnificent Seven.
Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven. You're live on 99.3 FM. I'm Chris Roloff. I'm not Mac. Mac's probably seen the Magnificent Seven. He's probably watching it right now. That's what he's doing at home, watching the Magnificent Seven.
I thought he was going to a movie today.
Yeah, but that one's not playing.
And that one's not in theaters. But it will be someday.
Right. They're remaking it.
They're remaking the Magnificent
redone.
Seven.
It's coming out this year, I think.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, indeed, they are. Chris Pratt, Denzel Washington, Ethan Hawke will be in it. They're remaking the Magnificent Seven. By the way, let me just introduce everybody talking. The guy who announced that for us, that was Pastor Michael Damastis of the Fort Des Moines Church of Christ on Army Post Road, infamous for church signs. Frank is with us as well, back wearing purple in honor of Prince, no doubt. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, is watching the chat. He will take your texts as well. And Jeb is producing. Send Bob a text and tell him what his... real nickname ought to be. You can send him a text at 515-809-0993.
You mean other than the Cat in the Hat?
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of complaints that the Cat in the Hat is not the appropriate nickname for you. And
just
people
like
have
Smokey the Bear?
Right.
Which isn't true.
So Bob needs a new nickname. Mac would be very mad about this. 515-809-0993. What is Bob's new nickname? Frank?
An interest of disclosure, any new movie that is made, a remake of an old movie, has to have a mandatory African-American character that replaces a white character in the original or a gay character. So it's just the way...
Which one's going to be gay?
I don't know. I suppose...
Is Chris Pratt...
I don't know. What if somebody in that show will be gay?
What if Denzel Washington gets to do both?
Oh, well...
Would that be better?
You get the bonus plan.
Yeah. Is that instant Oscar? Is that what that is?
It's an Oscar. Anything he or Tom Hanks shows up in is instantaneously an Oscar nomination.
Denzel is good, though. He's a great actor.
Incredibly talented.
So have any of you guys seen Froggy Fresh on YouTube?
Oh, my goodness, no.
Okay.
I feel like
I should. Well, look up
Quickly
Denzel Washington. He's so clever. He's the best. And, Froggy Fresh. And I'm telling you, it'll make your day.
That is awesome.
Yes.
We should. Jeb, if you find that and it's funny, we can play it. I don't know.
You obviously remember the remake of The Honeymooners, and Ralph Cramden ended up being a black character. Cedric the Entertainer. Was it Cedric the Entertainer?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, but that was the TV show. It wasn't called The Honeymooners.
Well, they made a movie.
Well, they made a movie, a remake of the old TV series The Honeymooners into a movie, and of course they had Ralph Cramden was played by Cedric the Entertainer.
For all those movie people that needed to know this.
Back in 1992, there was a double murder at the Drake Diner. It is one of Des Moines' most infamous crimes, and now the man convicted of the crime could be released from prison on parole. Joseph Jojo White gunned down Kara McGran. Is that how you say it? You probably knew, Bob. Did you know her?
I don't remember the name specifically.
Yeah. He gunned down Kara and Tim while dozens of patrons were inside the Drake Diner.
Yep, that's right.
Jojo White was 17 years old when he was sentenced to life behind bars, but a 2012 Supreme Court ruling banned mandatory life without parole sentences for anyone under the age of 18. So justices claim young offenders often lack maturity and should be given an opportunity for release. So on Thursday of this week, a conference with attorneys was held to determine JoJo White's resentencing. His resentencing is scheduled for August 17th at the Polk County Courthouse. JoJo White is serving his sentence at a prison in Illinois. He is now 40 years old. So that's 33 years he's been in prison, if I did my math right. The shooting was in 1992 again. A gunman walked into the Drake Diner on November 29th, 1992, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and shot 2 managers in the head. The shooter grabbed $500 from the register before leaving the scene. Witnesses led police to JoJo White after he was linked to a local gang. Police were led to a house where JoJo reportedly fired a large handgun. Authorities were able to link a slug in the home with the slugs that killed the 2 victims. White was convicted of 2 accounts of first-degree murder in 1993. He was 17 years old. For $500, he shot and killed 2 people in front of a restaurant full of people.
And your question is, should he be free?
Well, my question is, first, should he be free, he was 17, right? The Supreme Court says here in 2012, Supreme Court ruling banned mandatory life without parole sentences for anyone under the age of 18.
Well, my 2 cents are that the court system is so messed up, and just in the country, but much less the state of Iowa. The idea that we have a system in our state that would say a young person who is over the age of 12 is able to make the mental capacity of decision, have that mental capacity about them to be able to have consensual sex with an adult. So statutory rape crimes cannot happen in our state, with somebody beyond the age of like 13. And so because our courts have decided that they are legally, mentally an adult. And yet you have the converse of this, saying that a person who walked into a shop, who was very sure of what he was intending to do and knowing what would happen, pulled that trigger, taking 2 lives and taking just a little bit of cash, that person didn't have the mental faculties about himself to do that. Those are 2 completely opposite judicial opinions in my mind that don't make any sense. And I think that they probably should be swapped, frankly, in the sense that, yes, he should be held culpable and responsible and pay the penalty for his crime. At the minimum, he should never be allowed out into society again. He's taken lives like that. And then, we should never, ever allow a child the opportunity to think that they have the mental capacity to be able to make a consensually sexual decision, such as, with an adult or somebody older. That's just wrong. And
Pastor Michael Damastis is our guest. He is from Fort Des Moines Church of Christ on Army Post Road. What's y'all's website?
godsfort.org.
Godsfort.org. You can get service times, directions, all that kind of stuff, and probably see
all of the sermons and videos and lots of resources as well.
Awesome. We want to hear from you. What do you think about this? I was not in Iowa in 1992. I lived in the great state of Texas, yeehaw. And so I was not privy to this news. I've been to the Drake Diner. It's a really great place. It's great that it's still open. This would be a very traumatic thing. Probably could end a restaurant, I imagine, in a lot of cases. But I want to hear from you. What do you think? Should JoJo White be let go? Should he be released? Should his sentence be shortened? Should he get out and experience freedom? 515-244-0077, 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call in and tell us what you think. We'd love to hear from you. You can also send us a text on the Service Legends Truth text line, 515-809-0993. It's 515-809-0993. Just say yes or no to JoJo if you want to. Make it that simple. If you're driving, don't text and drive. Don't text and drive. But I know you're going to do it because I do it.
Ooh.
I don't do it. I've never done it. Never done it.
This story was pretty big news in that time frame in Iowa, in the big metropolis of Des Moines, and the trial was broadcast on live TV.
Wow.
And so we got to sit and watch the trial if you wanted to. I watched most of it, and the White had a blind lawyer, and Bob says that the lawyer was blind due to a accidental gunshot wound to his face, shotgun blast or whatever to his face. But I remember as part of the trial that they brought up the fact that JoJo had he was such a mistreated lad and was grown up in an abusive family or whatever. And there was supposed to be a lot of sympathy for him, and that's why I think they tried to reduce his sentence or was pleading for a reduced sentence. So I'm sure somewhere in this story that when he goes before the parole board or whatever, I'm sure he's found Christ. And I hope he has, but that's always the plea of the person trying to get out on parole is they've usually found Christ in prison, and it's interesting to do the follow up and see when they get out if they follow up with that. But
well, is that enough? Is that enough? If a prisoner gets religion, is that enough to be released?
Well, let's put it this way: God forgives God forgives sin. But God doesn't always forgive consequences of an act. So if you're promiscuous and you end up getting some sexually oriented disease, God may forgive you of that sin, but he may not forgive you of the consequences that sin brought upon you.
Meaning that once you receive forgiveness, you're not instantly healed of the effects necessarily. Exactly. What do you think about that, Pastor Michael?
I agree with that. And I think that, what kind of a parent would I be if I always took away the consequences of the behavior of my children and saved them from the consequences of their decisions? I mean, it's not that I can't forgive them for making bad decisions, but if I rescued them forever from their consequences, they would turn out to be the most horrible people, wicked people that you wouldn't want anything to do with. And the same is true for us. And God does not rescue us from consequences. God, in fact, lets us go through those consequences because that helps us understand his grace and his love even better.
You'd be a lousy parent.
Yeah.
Pastor Michael Damastis from Fort Des Moines Church of Christ is our guest today. It is a little bit after the bottom of the hour, 3:30, and we've got a caller. I don't think I've ever met this gentleman, nor has he ever called in. Paul, have you ever called into this show before?
Oh, never.
How you doing today, brother?
Not too bad. Hey, I've been at the pastor's church, I think, just after he had posted this sign up about why it's not okay with God or something.
Yeah, gay is not okay. That was the one I remember being the launch pad.
That's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was a big protest outside his church, I think.
Were you one of the protesters, Paul?
Well, I was one of the guys standing out there trying to explain the protesting why it wasn't okay with God, and most of it went over pretty good. Like I said, I always use that acronym, GAY, Globalization Against Jehovah. That seems to work out pretty good, and there wasn't much of an argument with that. But that wasn't my question there. The particular happens to be one of the first laws that had come out explaining about the death sentence of people, I think, isn't it? Sometime after the flood or something, that we're created in the image of God, and that's why God has humankind, put people to death, murder?
Genesis 9:6.
That's it. That's the one. So the first law that was just after that one, remember Ai and that guy, what was his name, Achan?
Mm-hmm.
He went before everybody, confessed his sins, and then they stoned him to death. But he got right with God before they stoned him. I think there'd probably be a lot more conversions in prison if if the death sentence was available.
Yeah, maybe not using rocks, but.
Well, no, that's inexpensive. We only use nice medications and stuff like that.
Paul, thanks so much for calling. I appreciate your comment. So you think that JoJo should have got the death penalty then? Probably. That's what I'm going to say, Paul thought. Hey, this is Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy. You're listening to The Truth on 99.3 FM, and I'll put words in your mouth. Why don't you call in at 515-244-0077. We'll be back with a lot more.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
We could start that over again. I just love that song. Chris Roloff here, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. It is, in fact, Friday, and we are getting down on Friday, having fun. Mac is out today, and so the cats are loose here. The mice are loose. We're running around, having a good time. We love hearing from you. You can weigh in on anything that we're talking about at 515-244-0077, or you can send us a text at the Service Legends Truth text line. Let me kind of reset the room. Frank is back with us wearing a purple shirt, of course, in honor of the passing of Prince yesterday. Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, is watching the chat and the Service Legends text line, and I'll give you the number in just a second. Jeb is producing. I'm Chris Roloff, and Michael Damastis of Fort Des Moines Church of Christ is here with us, weighing in on all the stuff, and we're going to get to something I think you're going to care about a lot here in just a second. But just before we went to the break, we were revisiting the 1992 double homicide that happened at the Drake Diner, done by Jojo White, Joseph Jojo White, and the reason why he's come back in the news is because in 2012, a Supreme Court ruled that they would ban mandatory life without parole sentences for anyone under the age of 18. And so on August 17th, the Polk County Courthouse is going to look at resentencing Jojo White. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to resentence him and let him out. It just means that they're going to reevaluate it, which I think, whatever. They're going to reevaluate it. He's now 40 years old. He's been in jail for 33 years. 33 years. He was 17 when he went in. He's been in there for 33 years, almost twice the length of his entire life.
1992, and now isn't 33 years. Not more like 23 years.
How did I do that wrong then? 40 minus 17. What's that?
No, he's 40 years old now.
Right.
So 23 and 17 is 40.
23.
Yes.
You with that math. You're good at math. Math. Whatever. 23 years. Okay. So, but Bob, we did get a text from the Service Legends Truth text line. You can send us your comments on this story. We're going to move on after this, but you can send us a text at 515-809-0993. Keep that in your phone. Have it handy to shout at us. And what did someone say?
Okay, it says, let's have the Supreme Court make a ruling that the people killed should be brought back to life. They seem to have such authority these days.
Well said. Well said.
We'll
have the Supreme Court on that.
Think they can do that?
They feel like they probably can.
They are supreme.
And they get to say the sentencing guidelines for the person that killed him.
Apparently they do. Yeah, they do. They get to set all the everything. The Supreme Court.
No, I mean the people who are brought back from the dead get to set the sentencing guidelines for the person that killed them.
Oh, that would be interesting. But once that's fascinating. See, because then once you've died, you've gone. Wow, that would be. I don't want to go there. I don't want to play the what if game. My mind goes down all kinds of dumb roads. Okay, so we're going to change subjects. Kim Davis was a gal who became infamous for not signing something. She chose to not sign a marriage license in Kentucky after the Supreme Court of the United States decided that everybody can get married. You can get married if you want. Anybody. It's free. It's good. All marriage is good. No more laws, no more regulations on marriage. Anybody get married. Oh, wait, that's not what they said. But they said that it was okay for homosexuals to get married. I don't know if that was legal in the state of Kentucky at the time. Pastor Michael Damastis said it was not.
Nope.
Now, you went down there kind of when this, Pastor, when this story got a little heated. There was kind of a rally of sorts or something for Kim Davis.
Yeah,
you actually went down there.
She was released from jail the day I was there, actually, and we were there at the corrections, the jail, the county jail, when she was released, and that's Rowan County, Kentucky, and several things that are kind of interesting. And you say that she became infamous, but in many circles that's a relative term. I mean, she actually became famous with a lot of people, but infamous with some as well. I think that there were thousands of people there that day that were representing the fact that we felt that what was happening to her was not representative of what we were hoping would happen, across our nation. And that's why a lot of us felt the urge to go and just say this is something that's bigger than a lot of us. This is, and what's happening now is even more ridiculous. I mean, who would have thought even 2 years ago that we would be literally talking about bathroom policies like we are? But it's crazy.
Yeah, Donald Trump recently weighed in on the bathroom discussion. He has an opinion about that, and you said that I didn't hear it. I don't know that
he was on the Today Show, and he was remarking, for one, about North Carolina and really chiding the governor of that state, saying that it was a really bad decision on his part to do what he did to protect women and children. And he basically was coming out against saying that was bad business, bad economic policy, because look at the fallout now. You've got PayPal, you've got, some bad musicians, you even got a porn site that won't show up in North Carolina now. On the other hand, that's always very positive. So I guess depending on which musicians you don't want to come to your state, maybe you can come down on the right side on this. But I just couldn't believe that Donald Trump also the same day advocated for changing the platform of the Republican Party to allow for abortion under certain circumstances, because he thought our current position is too harsh. Without trying to counter my brother over here, but if you vote for Donald Trump, you're nuts. So aside from that,
there you go.
Well, here's something that bothers me. Trump inadvertently, maybe on purpose, put his foot in his mouth when he said something to the effect that if abortion becomes illegal, that women ought to be held accountable. And I did not hear one of my Ted Cruz supporting friends jump up and say, yeah, that's the way it ought to be, because that's the way it has to be. If abortion is legal, everyone involved would have to be held criminally responsible for that abortion.
Not true. And even when abortion wasn't legal in the United States of America, the only time there was ever any kind of legal action brought against someone, it was brought against the doctors who committed the abortions, not against the woman that sought it out.
I don't dispute that, but women are involved in prostitution stings. They're not exempt from prostitution. They're not exempt from drugs. What other criminal activity, if abortion does become criminal, what other criminal activity do you know that a certain segment of that criminal activity is given a free exemption out of it?
Here's the thing that I would say on that. For one, in relation to this particular side of the argument, we have to go on a certain point of this has to be looked at as a circumstantial basis, because there are a lot of women who are forced into abortions, who are, coerced into these activities, and it's not necessarily something that they would choose to do, either through parental pressure, boyfriend pressure, husband pressure. All of those kinds of things come into play. And the link, by the way, to human trafficking on the issue of abortion and prostitution, because you brought it up, is a significant side of that as well.
I agree with that to a point. I'm just saying that everybody, I want abortion in the back alley again. And I want everybody who's found in that back alley to go to jail. Doctors, boyfriends, husbands, doctors, the woman. I want everybody that's participating in that abortion. And Donald Trump said it right. And I didn't hear anybody jump up and say, yeah, that's the way it ought to be. Because I am the one person that says, yeah, that's the way it ought to be.
Frank, but with all due respect to Donald Trump, the guy is full of it.
Well, I know he backed down off it.
Wait a minute.
I do know he backed off of that a little bit.
Why are you so excited to defend the complete junk that came out of his mouth? He's already saying that he wants to change the Republican platform here and make the Republican Party less conservative on the abortion issue. So whatever he said in your defense of him, don't defend him. Just say what you want, because don't defend Donald Trump, because you never know, Donald Trump is just going to change his mind.
I was defending the statement that women ought to be held accountable for the decisions they make. He had it right. Now, he may have backed down on it out of peer pressure, but I think he had it right the first time. I support that.
What do you think? 515-244-0077. Call in, enter into this conversation at 515-244-0077.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
You used to call me on my cell phone, but now You don't anymore. But you can call us and weigh in on the conversation here at 99.3 FM The Truth at 515-244-0077. And you can send us a text at the Servants Lessons Truth text line. I'm Chris Roloff filling in for J. Michael McCoy. Yes, this is Mac's World Live. This is still your program. This is still Mac's World, where you get to weigh in and join the conversation at any time. But we do get some chats from now and again. And we got one, Bob?
Yeah, one chat. So the devil made me do it is acceptable for Pastor D. Come on.
Right. So I think what we're thinking about we were trying to in the break figure out what the comment is. And what we were talking about was Frank thinks that anybody involved in an abortion should go to jail and be tried for murder.
Unless the woman is raped or something where she's not held accountable for
she's
her
a victim.
actions. She's a victim of something. But I don't generally think women are victims, just in having abortions in general.
Okay. Well, and I would agree with you in the sense that in general it is true statistically that most abortions are done under the guise of convenience. So I don't disagree with that premise. But I do say that broad brush statement of that we need to criminalize women is really I think a premise that can't hold up, because there are so many particular circumstances that, especially like I said, sex trafficking, all those other issues that come into play that we need to look at. So.
But everybody would eventually end up claiming some nefarious thing that happened to them, that they got pregnant. And it never would be by choice. It would be rape. It'd be molestation. It would be sex trafficking. It would be something. They wouldn't own up. Whatever gets them their abortion would be their excuse.
Now, let me weigh in here a little bit. I am totally against the notion that we should punish the woman in this case, because I think with the little bit of community that I've been around in the pro-life movement, I've learned a lot about the difficult situation that a lot of these gals find themselves in. And hang on just a minute.
Okay.
Yes, they make the choice to go through with the abortion at times, but you got to understand that not everybody has the same information that you have, Frank, and not everybody is in the same frame of mind or in the same life circumstances or in the same situation. And for many women, the choice to have an abortion seems like the only option, and they are very frequently victims of the abortion industry, which is fully engaged, fully invested in making sure that the woman goes through with that. So they're going to tell that girl anything they want. We've talked about this before. Hillary Clinton, who thinks she wants to be president one day when she grows up, I don't think she's going to grow up. She has lied enough in her life and been pro-death for so long that she has slipped up and stopped using the language because she's so comfortable with the fact of killing babies that she says the child in the womb doesn't have a constitutional right. But she acknowledges that inside the womb is a human child and she wants to kill it. People like that are victimizing other people. They're lying to them. They're saying, hey, you know what? You need to do this. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for you and for your family. Consider this. They're piling upon them motivation to go through with this abortion when they already feel pressure in their own lives to have these abortions. And if you're going to say, okay, well then we should put you in jail for choosing to have this abortion, I'm all for criminalizing the people who perform the act, all that kind of stuff. That's fine.
Here, as a person who's not quote unquote a personhood person, but if the personhood movement gets shoved through, life at conception, life would start at conception. If you end that life has to be called murder. So if a woman murders, what's the punishment?
Right. She didn't do the murder.
What if she administers a coat hanger in herself? What if somehow she does something?
Just said, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You just said, this is very frustrating mentally. So just a few minutes ago, you said that's what you want it to go. You want it to go back to where the woman has to do that thing. You want to put her in a position where she has to commit the crime.
You missed my point. I want abortion in the back alley. I no longer want it legal, law of the land. So naturally, it would go to the back alley. So if it goes to the back alley and people are still doing it, then they're committing a crime. They're committing a crime of murder. All people involved in the crime of murder should be arrested. including the woman. So I'm saying even if the woman administers the abortion herself, if life truly starts at conception and killing that life is murder, how do you get around holding the woman responsible, taking that life for murder? Now, like Michael says, there would be exceptions to sex trafficking, rape, things of that nature, but he wouldn't support aborting a fetus created out of rape. You would want it adopted. So clearly what I'm saying is if abortion is ever made legal, all people would have to be held responsible who are involved in it. It's just simple logic to me.
Somebody texted in, she would be a co-conspirator.
A co-conspirator. That was a text that came in the Service Legends text line 515-809-0993. You can weigh in there by sending us a text, 515-809-0993. You can also talk. Really, Frank is nowhere near as intimidating as he sounds. 515-244-0077. Your opinion is very welcome on this program at 515-244-0077. It's such a tired topic for me, Pastor. I want to get really excited about the abortion debate. It's really a done issue. I think for me,
how so?
Well, what we've got in the country right now is we have abortions being practiced.
Right.
And I think the best way to solve the problem of abortions being practiced is with information and ministry and service to the women that are feeling the need to get the abortion. To me, there's a supply and demand problem here.
I think in essence, I do agree with you. It was Francis Schaeffer that said that all abortion clinics operate only with the permission of the local church in that community. And so I think that in a sense, I would say that you're right, because the church has not been doing the job that needs to be done. The church has failed at being a place where women feel safe, where they feel like that's the place I need to turn to. I have nowhere else to turn. I don't know what to do. If I have this child, what am I going to do now? Who do I turn to? The answer should logically follow the church, but it doesn't.
If you wanted to go counsel a young lady who is pregnant, that don't abort, adopt, whatever, you'd be putting some undue burden on her. That's what the government says. If you just counsel somebody, that you're putting burden on that woman. That's ridiculous. That needs to be stopped.
We're gonna continue this conversation next, because my next guest, her name is Megan. She's with Young Lives, and my guest has a really great answer to this situation. And we're gonna talk with her in the next hour. What happens if your daughter comes home and she's pregnant? And she's a teenager, right? Your teenage daughter comes home and she's pregnant. What do you do? What are you going to do? Do you send her off to the Planned Parenthood? Do you send her to Pastor Michael Damastis? Do you send her to your pastor? What do you do? What do you do? My guest next hour is going to talk to us about what we can do. I'm excited to learn about what our options are. You're listening to the Truth Network. This is 99.3 FM. I'm Chris Roloff, filling in for J. Michael McCoy. This is still Mac's World, and he says it, but I can't help but agree with him. Every hour, we got to think at the end of the broadcast, take a minute and forgive somebody who's pissed you off. Maybe they've made you mad on this show. Maybe you didn't like that I just said that word. Apparently, I'm not allowed to say that on Christian radio. Sorry, I grew up in Texas. We talk a little rougher there. Hey, we're going to come back and we're going to have a great conversation next hour right here on The Truth.
So what's Army Brad's point?